What is going on, Arizona sports fan family? How are we doing out here today on this beautiful Monday morning, ladies and gentlemen? Big shout out to everybody that's currently in the chat right now. What is going on, everybody? Hopefully everybody's having a fantastic morning. Y'all, we got a lot to talk about today pertaining to the Arizona Cardinals head coach search. It still continues. We're still throwing that net out there. We're still, unturning every stone we possibly can out there right now. Now, we're going to be diving into a lot of the news, right, pertaining to Sean Payton. We're also going to be talking about the two latest candidates for the Arizona Cardinals, Lou Anarumo, as well as Brian Callahan. So we're going to be diving into those here too pretty soon, ladies and gentlemen. Definitely do me one huge favor. Smack the like button on this video. If this is your first time here, subscribe to the Arizona Sports Fan here on YouTube. We're on the road to 12K here, ladies and gentlemen. Smack the like button. Right now, we're sitting with 81 people in the chat right now. We just started the live stream. Now, this live stream, this video here, whatever you want to call it, is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Ladies and gentlemen, if you guys haven't downloaded this app yet, obviously 18 and over, please, because it is, you can win some money on here. But if you use the promo code AZSF, they will be basically giving you, matching your deposit. If you put down $10, they'll give you $10. $50, they'll give you $50. They'll match your deposit up to $100. Just FYI, I had a very fun time following Underdog Fantasy throughout this weekend because we had some really, really good games over the weekend. And I'm honestly shocked. My two teams that I thought was going to win lost. So we ended up seeing the Eagles destroy the 49ers, and we ended up seeing the Kansas City Chiefs beat the Cincinnati Bengals. And those are obviously two teams that I didn't want to see, but here we are right now. So definitely go ahead and download Underdog Fantasy. Get your match deposit up to $100 using promo code AZSF. But let's get started here, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. We got 93 people in the chat right now. What's up, everybody? Shout out to Jean Paul, Neil, Esteban, Michael, Pobe, the Red Sea rises. All right, let's get started here, y'all. I think the first thing that everybody obviously wants to talk about is Sean Payton, right? Now, we did make a live stream yesterday on Sunday before the Fox broadcast. And I said this was going to be a very, very, very important show to tune in because we want to hear from what Sean Payton wants to say or has to say, right? Now, Peter Schrager did end up, teasing the fans, especially Cardinal fans, especially on this morning show, saying, hey, we got a lot to discuss. And it didn't disappoint, right? We ended up hearing Sean Payton come out and say that, this week was going to be very crucial for, a lot of news pertaining to head coaches, not specifically for Sean Payton, but he's not closing the door on coaching in 2023 as of yet. Now, I know there's a lot of people kind of, watching his every move as myself as well, right? Because his options are either go back to Fox and be an analyst or be the next head coach of either the Denver Broncos or the Arizona Cardinals in the 2023 season. And right now, obviously, so many Arizona Cardinal fans would love Sean Payton's services, and we wanted to kind of hear with what he said. Now, on yesterday's show, he did have an orange tie, which I will forgive him for, right? Obviously, orange is the color of the Denver Broncos. I don't want to hang on to that much. I still do think that the Arizona Cardinals are possibly in the running, and I think there is a mutual interest between the two, right? Sean Payton and the Arizona Cardinals. But right now, we're still kind of going through the negotiations between Mickey Loomis and the Arizona Cardinals, and it seems like they're trying to really stay through their guns, and I think they really, really want those 2 first-round picks. So right now, the Arizona Cardinals are doing their due diligence. So you can't blame the Cardinals for doing that, right? We had a fantastic, or what seemed to be a fantastic interview with Sean Payton. But as of right now, still negotiations happening. I'm not sure if they're currently happening or if it's squashed, but you could definitely tell that the Arizona Cardinals are still trying to cast that wide net, because we brought in 2 new people, or we haven't brought them, but like we want to interview 2 new people, and we're going to dive into them pretty soon. What's up, Michael? Appreciate the contribution. He says, Mike, Cowboys cut the offensive coordinator. Yes. Yes, if you're talking about the offensive coordinator from the Dallas Cowboys, Kellen Moore, he did actually, there is rumors that he's linked already to the Chargers. So if you guys are trying to get Kellen Moore to be the next OC, there was rumors out there saying that he's already linked to the LA Chargers. So if you guys are trying to, hold on to that hope, I think that's kind of squashed right there. But we'll see, right? We'll see what happens. So let's dive right into the 2 people that, what we know so far. The first people that I want to talk about, or the first person that I want to talk about, is Brian Callahan. Now, if you guys are not fully aware, Brian Callahan is a offensive coordinator of the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, if you guys watched yesterday's game, I don't think they fully beat the Kansas City Chiefs. I truly don't. Now, I was pretty disappointed to see the Chiefs being treated like Tom Brady and the Patriots. Now, am I being a little salty? Probably, right? But it definitely seems like the NFL is, I'm not going to say rigged, because I wouldn't watch the NFL if I truly felt like it was rigged. I don't think it's rigged, but man, sometimes these star quarterbacks get, I don't know. I feel like they get the treatment that other people don't. And it's I don't know. I mean, it is what it is, right? We're going to get the Chiefs and the Eagles. Hopefully it's a good game, but we do have the offensive coordinator, Brian Callahan, coming to the Arizona, or there's sources out there saying that we want to request an interview with him. Right now, there is a request has been put in. We don't know the exact date in terms of when we will actually going to meet with him, but there is some interest from the OC, Brian Callahan, and the Arizona Cardinals. So next person we want to talk about is Lou Anarumo. And I'm sorry, I might have butchered his last name, but I think it's Anarumo. So this is coming from Peter Schrager. He says this just in: the Cardinals have requested to interview Bengals defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo for their vacant head coach job, per league sources. Now, I did put this tweet out here a little earlier once I heard the news, right? Because I know that there's a lot of Cardinal fans out there that don't like this. They don't like this move. Now, please keep in mind that the Cincinnati Bengals are a winning organization. And last year when we were talking about them, the Bengals did what we were supposed to do, right? They also went through a change in coaching staff in 2019, as we did as well, but they did it right? They did it right compared to the Arizona Cardinals. We had 4 years with Cliff. We made it to the playoffs once, and we didn't really go anywhere. The Bengals, they went to the playoffs twice, and they went to the Super Bowl, and now the AFC Conference Championship. So honestly, I don't think it's anything to sneeze at, and what these assistants have helped change the culture. But this is the tweet that I ended up putting out. The Arizona Cardinals are bringing in Cincinnati Bengals offensive coordinator Brian Callahan and defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo to interview for the vacant head coaching position. Being that they helped change the culture in Cincinnati and have them in back-to-back playoff appearances, I'm intrigued, right? Now, obviously, the intrigue kind of stays to where the level of, okay, this is interesting, right? This is interesting that obviously the Arizona Cardinals are still trying to unflip, unstone, basically they're trying to find anything they possibly can, right? To see who's going to be the best fit out there. Now, I do also know that Ian Rappaport trying to throw something in there pertaining to, oh, we got, Bruce Arians in this type of thing. Is Lou Anarumo going to be that type of thing? Now, I'm not going to go out there and say that, but there is really high praises for Lou Anarumo, at least from the outside. Now, one person I want to go ahead and really kind of highlight here is Louis Riddick. Now, this guy right here, I believe he was going for some GM roles. I don't think it really got that far because he hasn't got hired. But Louis Riddick, obviously works for ESPN. He ended up putting this out on his tweet. Spoke with Lou Anarumo again last night and going to say this: the fact that nobody wants to hear about his leadership, team building / salary cap, staff construction, teaching and development, offensive and defensive and special teams philosophies via a head coach interview is a joke. So essentially, basically, it looks like Louis Riddick is really, really on the side of Lou Anarumo, right? Definitely what it seems like. But Arizona Cardinals reached out to him, right? We're trying to do everything we possibly can. We're doing our due diligence. We're trying to cast that wide net out there. And I know there's a lot of Cardinal fans out there right now. They're like, why, right? Why? Well, why are we doing this? I want Sean Payton. I want Sean Payton. I think right now with what's happening, it is weird. I'm not going to lie to you. It's weird that we're sitting in January the 30th and we still don't have a head coach. It's weird, right? But I mean, you got to admit that the Arizona Cardinals set out to what they said that they were going to do, right? Like, this is exactly what the Arizona Cardinals were going to do. That's what Michael Bidwell said. That's what Monty Osenfort said. So they're trying to do their due diligence as best as they possibly can because they want to get the next head coach being longer than 6 years in this position, right? The last thing we want to do is try to go for another big swing out of the box type of signing that the Arizona Cardinals soon regret after 4 years into the Cliff Kingsbury experience, right? So, yes, the Sean Payton dream is starting to kind of fade a little back. Now, it happened before though, right? The Sean Payton dream at one point was really big and then it started fading away. And then he went in an interview and then it came back and now it started to kind of fade away a little bit. But if you really think about it, like, yes, they are coming in for a head coaching spot, but we also do got to figure out an offensive coordinator, right? We got to figure out an offensive coordinator, and if Vance Joseph stays, if he doesn't stay, we got to figure out a defensive coordinator because the guy that was supposed to be linked with Sean Payton, which was Vic Fangio, he ended up getting a spot with the Miami Dolphins as their defensive coordinator. So, things don't really work out to plan. Obviously, as you can tell, right? There's so many people out there. They're like, well, Brian Flores, he was supposed to be, the next head coach if it wasn't Sean Payton. It's not set in stone. It isn't. So I think a lot of Cardinal fans, you just need to come to the realization that just don't hang on every word that you're hearing out there, right? The Cardinals are doing their due diligence. Like, that's what's going on here. They're trying to figure out the best coach they possibly can so they can come out here and figure out a plan because there's so much unknown. There truly is. There's a lot of unknown this year. And I know a lot of people don't want to admit it, but there's so much unknown. I'm still a big believer in Kyler Murray, but at least 30% is not. And that's a big chunk of the fan base of the Arizona Cardinals not believing in your franchise quarterback. That's a pretty big deal, right? I know there's some people out there that want us to draft a quarterback. So there's a lot of unknowns. And obviously the head coach, the GM, they all need to be in the same ship. They need to be in the same wavelength because last thing we want to do is have our GM draft people and our head coach, defensive coordinator, or offensive coordinator not use those people, right? Like, I think we're all we don't want that anymore, right? If we get a first round pick, the best way for them to succeed is for them to be out there and go through the bumps and bruises. Yes, it's a different level between collegiate level to the NFL. And I think we're all fully aware of that, but like, they're not going to get better unless they go out there and do the reps, right? So it's kind of one of those things that I see the Cincinnati Bengals, right? I see how they were built, and I like it. I like it. I truly like what the Cincinnati Bengals did. Now, I believe it was last year or the year before, we came on a live stream, and I was absolutely shocked. I was like, dang, look what the Cincinnati Bengals are doing where the Arizona Cardinals seem to be regressing, right? So it's one of those things where I like what I see. and what's going on over there from either Brian Callahan or Lou Anarumo. But if you're going to ask me right now, if I were have to choose out of these two people, I would go Anarumo. Now, if you think about it here, he's a defensive mind again, right? Another defensive minded coach out there. But as of right now, that's kind of what I'm leaning towards, just because there's a lot of people kind of on his side and seeming to be really, really up in arms for him to get an opportunity. And maybe that's what Bruce Arians, right? That's what Bruce Arians needed too. It's just someone to kind of give him the opportunity. Let me get to this contribution here. What's up, Michael? He says the Saints are killing us. Yeah, I mean, for sure. Oh, for sure. I think we're all kind of in that situation right now, right? The Saints have us over a barrel, which at one point I thought we would have leverage, right? Because it seemed like the Sean Payton's market went down. But I think they're looking at it as, okay, it went down. All right, no worries. But I think truly that the Arizona Cardinals right now, we have interest in Sean Payton, and I think truly Sean Payton has interest in us. But I think that there's that common factor there, or there's that unknown factor where we need to figure out what the Saints want and what we're willing to give. And if that's just not attainable, sometimes unfortunately we gotta nip it in the bud, right? Now, I know that there has been some, Cardinal fans out there saying, just give up what, our picks. I'm not on that boat. I truly am not on that boat. And here's the reason why. If we're sitting at the 15th overall or the 16th overall, then maybe we can humor something like that, right? But being that we're sitting at the 3rd overall spot in the NFL draft, we have an option here to get one of the generational talents, right, coming out of college this year, right? Either with Will Anderson or Jalen Carter. So this valued pick, or this pick in the 3rd overall, is valued so high because we can get somebody like that, right? Now, we might also live in a scenario where we might even have the option to get either or, right? Either Jalen Carter or Will Anderson. There's rumors out there saying that the Bears are willing to trade that 1st overall pick. You get a quarterback needy team going into that 1st overall pick, then we have the spot of getting either Jalen or Will Anderson. So I think we're in a very good spot, and I'm not willing to trade this pick out. I truly am not. But we're kind of, like I said, we're kind of bent over a barrel right now, and we're having to deal with the terms of the Saints. So the Cardinals right now are trying to do their due diligence, and honestly, I don't blame them. We are, trying to turn we're trying to turn every stone we possibly can. So let's dive right into these, Brian and Lou Anarumo, like who they are and, what can they do to kind of help us out, right? So let me go ahead and take a sip of this water real quick. Okay, let's talk about Brian Callahan first. Now, he is an offensive-minded coach from what I'm seeing here. Now, he's young. He's 38 years old, right? He's 38, so he's fairly young. In terms of his coaching, like when he started as far as being a coach, it started in Denver back in 2010. So he's been kind of in the coaching scene for quite some time. So in Denver in 2010, he was a coaching assistant. Back in 2011 to 2012, still stayed with the Denver Broncos, but he was a offensive quality coach, control coach. In 2013 or 2015, offensive assistant. And then he moved on to the Detroit Lions from 2016 to 2017 as the quarterback coach, and then went to the Raiders in 2018 as the quarterback coach, and then got his opportunity for an offensive coordinator job from 2019 to present, essentially. So if you think about it, Brian Callahan was signed the same time we went through our coaching change, right? With Cliff Kingsbury and we doing a whole thing, right? So Brian Callahan was moved on over to the Cincinnati Bengals and getting the opportunity for that offensive coordinator position from 2019 to present date. Now, is he going to get a head coaching job? Right now, it seems like the Cardinals might be the only one, right? The only one that has real big interest in Brian Callahan, but there's still 4 teams looking for a job, right? There's still 4 teams looking for a head coach. Now, the Texans seem to be very, very leaning heavy towards D'Amico Ryans, and I think that is going to be a real possibility. The Colts, I think they're going to go Jeff Saturday. I'm not 100% sure, but it's leaning towards that. So that leaves the Broncos and the Arizona Cardinals, right? That's what it leaves. Now, Sean Payton, is he going to be a coach? It's either going to be those two, right? Cardinals or Broncos. Not 100% sure, but we do have other people to kind of choose out for. And I think that's what the Cardinals are trying to do, right? Like not biting themselves in the butt, especially if we lose out in the Sean Payton sweepstakes. We still have maybe another coaching candidate that could kind of help us out. So that's Brian Callahan in a nutshell. Let's move on over to Lou Anarumo. Now, for him, his career as a coach started back a while, right? It's back in 1989. Now, we're not going to dive deep into that, right? We're going to focus specifically on the NFL because he seemed like he did some things within college. Like I said, he was a coach in 1989, and it's kind of what he's been doing since. But in terms of being a NFL, either assistant coach, anything like that, it seems like that started back in 2012. So to 2012 to 2017, he was a defensive back coach for the Miami Dolphins. And then Miami Dolphins, he was a defensive coordinator, interim defensive coordinator in 2015. And then it went to the New York Giants as a defensive back coach 2018. And then Cincinnati Bengals 2019 to present as a defensive coordinator. So he also kind of came in with the whole new regime, right? Now, they did get Burrow in 2020, if I'm not mistaken, right? I believe it's 2020 when they got Burrow. So they were rolling with 2019. Obviously, they didn't have a successful season, but the moment Burrow came in, it kind of changed the culture and it kind of helped them elevate to get to the level that they're in right now, right? So they got back-to-back playoffs appearances, one of them going into the Super Bowl, which is last year versus the Rams. They ended up losing that game. And then this year, they ended up going to the AFC Conference Championship versus the Saints. And we all know that they lost that game as well. So, different options, right? We got some options here for the Arizona Cardinals to continue to flip those stones. And like I said a little earlier, if I were to pick one of the two, I'm a little bit more intrigued with Lou Anarumo than I am with Brian Callahan, but I'm open at this point. Like I want this head coaching search to be done, and it's only because of my, like, how do I call it? It's only because of my, like I just want to know, right? It's just because I want to know at this very moment. There's nothing really there. I think the Arizona Cardinals are doing a great job in doing their due diligence. This is exactly what they should be doing, right? And this is exactly what they set out to say. Like, this is what they set out to do this offseason. They wanted to make sure that they find the right coach. Last thing we want as Cardinal fans is for the Arizona Cardinals to get a coach, and we're talking about getting rid of them in a year or two, right? That's what we want, right? I think the standard has been hopefully leveled up. We'll see, though. I mean, at least my standard is always leveling up. I know a lot of Cardinal fans that if we go through a rebuilding mode, an excuse that they like to kind of throw in there is, we're rebuilding. And I know Sean Payton would be a coach that we can kind of plug and play in here and maybe get 6 to 7 wins as opposed to 3 to 4 wins and call it a rebuilding year. And that's definitely obviously something that we don't want to live through. But Kyler Murray, right? A lot of unknown with Kyler, a lot of unknown with our roster in general, because we got a lot of free agents coming our way. I believe last time I looked, we have like $39 million in cap, which isn't a very much, especially because you have people like, Zach Allen or, Marquise Hollywood Brown wants an extension. And you also have people like Zach Allen as well that are wanting to get extended. So this is going to be a crazy offseason. Let me just say that right now. A crazy, crazy, crazy offseason. And I don't think right now anybody's favorited, truly. Like, if you're going to sit here and try to listen to somebody saying that this person's favorite, I mean, you go off that, right? But the only people that truly really know what's going on is the Arizona Cardinals. That's it. Like, the Arizona Cardinals, and I mean Michael Bidwell and Monty Osenfort, the only people that know truly what's going on. Did they like Sean Payton? I think they did, right? I truly think that every time I look at this picture here, which is that clip from the video that we ended up seeing, they spent 7 hours with each other, right? And I don't want to keep beating a dead horse, right? I don't want to be that guy that keep beating that dead horse, but in the grand scheme of things, the Arizona Cardinals, like, I think that that's truly who they want, but we're also trying to do our due diligence, right? We're also trying to do our due diligence. So let's take a look here. We got something in the chat saying hopefully Byron gets extended. Well, honestly, it's going to be interesting to see who gets extended and who doesn't get extended, right? I think it's going to be very interesting to see how the Cardinals are going to play it off, right? Because as of right now, we have so much unrestricted free agents, so many unrestricted free agents. let me see if I can find a list here real quick to see if we have any, thought of any unrestricted free agents here. Let me take a look here. Okay, so we do have some. Yeah, so let's take a look here. So Rodney Hudson. Now I am looking at Spot Track right now, that website. So just FYI, these are the people that are saying that they're unrestricted free agents for the Arizona Cardinals heading into the offseason. So let's start off from the top: Rodney Hudson, Justin Pugh, AJ Green, Matt Prater, Kelvin Beachum, Byron Murphy, Cody Ford, Nick Vigil, Tanner Vallejo, Ezekiel Turner, Andy Lee, Aaron Brewer, Tyson Hill, Darrell Williams, Will Hernandez, Antonio Hamilton. And that's just kind of to name a few, right? Zach Allen. It's a lot. It's so many people. Greg Dortch. Oh, he's a restricted free agent. So it's just, there's so much people out there that, like, and the Hollywood thing, Hollywood is that he wants to get extended, right? So it's so much unknown. It's so crazy to find out, like, man, this offseason is going to be nuts. We've seen teams go from first to last, though. We've seen teams go from first to last. Now, I'm not going to sit here and try to sell you guys the narrative like the Arizona Cardinals are going to the Super Bowl next year. No, I don't think that that's the case. But I mean, I'm hoping a step in the right direction, right? We got a lot. We got a lot of people to kind of really figure out what we need to do kind of moving forward. Hudson needs to retire. I agree. I agree. Hudson needs to retire. We got RV Davies saying let Hollywood go. The problem with Hollywood is that we traded a first round pick for him. Like, that's the problem, right? We have to have that looming over our heads because we had a possibility of getting Tyler Linderbaum, right? We had it right there in our hands. But I think Steve Keim was trying to do everything to appease Kyler Murray, and he went out there to get his buddy, right? Now, at that very moment, I was like, okay, cool, right? And everybody bought into the narrative of, oh my God, watch out. When Hollywood and DeAndre Hopkins are on the field, we're going to see fireworks. It's going to be amazing. Little did we know that our offensive line was Swiss cheese, right? Now, I think most people knew, but, putting it on the field, getting as much injuries as we did, it turned out as a disaster as some people thought it was going to be, right? Because we truly didn't do anything in the offseason. We didn't do anything in the offseason. We were trying to run it back, but we couldn't do it. We couldn't do it at all. So it's a lot, right? So I get where people are coming from, where they're like, move off of Hollywood, but like, we traded a first round pick for him. Like, how bad of an organization would we look if we did go that route, right? Now, if we did it, okay, we'll just have to swallow that first round pick and we're like, okay, move off, right? But like, Hollywood is under contract still, right? He's not set up to be a unrestricted free agent, but the problem with that is that he might sit out, right? Like, that's the problem. It's not that he's going to be an unrestricted free agent. So like, releasing him would be really not ideal, because he's a first rounder. I think there's a fifth year option for Hollywood. So I'm not seeing his name on the list here. No, I'm not seeing his name on the list. So, but that's the thing. Like, when you get traded, the option is usually you want to get it extended, right? Usually. So that's kind of one of the situations that we're dealing with right now. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But continue to talk about what we have going on right now. What we know right now is that the Arizona Cardinals are continuing to try to do their due diligence, right? So for the new people that are in here right now, definitely do me a huge favor. If you guys haven't already, smack the like button. Do it for the algorithm. Let's see if we can get over to 100 likes. I haven't actually looked at it so far, but let's go ahead and smack that like button and make sure that one unknown Cardinal fan that wants a home knows where they can go ahead and come through. We're on the road to 12K, ladies and gentlemen, so definitely subscribe it up if you like this conversation pertaining to talking about the Cardinals and all that different stuff. Smack the like button and subscribe. All right, but let's continue to talk here. We got two new candidates coming from the Arizona Cardinals way, and we requested to interview them. One of them being Brian Callahan. Now, this report comes from Tom Pelissero. It says this: the Cardinals also requested an interview with the Bengals offensive coordinator, Brian Callahan, for their head coaching job, per source. Callahan also is a candidate for the Colts job. Okay, there you go. So I believe that he's also interested in the Colts job, or at least the Colts are interested in him. He's young though, right? He's 38 years old. So if we want to take that route again, Callahan would probably be, somebody to look at. But here is the first one that came out today, and this is going to be from Lou Anarumo. And Peter Schrager went ahead and released this. He says this just in, the Cardinals have requested to interview Bengals defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo for their vacant head coaching job per league source. And we got Louis Riddick coming out here and actually speaking very, very, very high praises for Lou Anarumo. He says this: spoke with Lou Anarumo again last night and going to say this again. The fact that nobody wants to hear about his leadership, team building / salary cap, staff construction, teaching and develop offensive and defensive and special team philosophies via head coach interview is a joke. So we got Louis Riddick, which I knew that there was some subscribers that were actually wanting to consider him to be our new GM. He comes out and says that, to kind of come out and back his guy, Lou Anarumo. So those are the two people, right, that the Arizona Cardinals are now putting on their radar. Now, is this going to be something that, is going to transpire, right? Well, we'll have to kind of wait and see. Now, Sean Payton did come out yesterday on Fox, and he said that he is not closing the book or not closing the door on being a head coach in the 2023 season in the NFL. Now, Sean Payton was wearing orange, right? He had an orange tie yesterday. I know some people were like, oh, the Broncos, the Broncos, the Broncos. I'm going to forgive him, right? I'm going to go ahead and choose to forgive him if he does sign with the Arizona Cardinals. But if the Broncos is what he chooses, or if the organization of the Broncos just gives that much more of a higher package and the Saints can't say no, then it's going to suck, right? It's going to feel like you get punched in the gut, right? Your wind gets out of your cells. It's going to suck. It is, right? Especially with Cardinal fans. But we're going to have to support the Cardinals and what's going to happen here. But TBD at this very moment, TBD. So Sean Payton isn't over yet, at least the way that I like to look at it. I don't think it's over yet for Sean Payton, but it's getting less and less realistic, right? It's getting less and less. Although he did say over the weekend that we're going to find out more this coming weekend, it's getting less and less, but I'm not giving up the hope, right? Even if I have 1% to 2% hope, I'm still keeping it there. I'm still keeping it there, saying that Sean Payton is a possibility for the Arizona Cardinals. I'm still keeping it there. And if that frustrates people, then oh well. But I'm leaning to believe that the Arizona Cardinals do have interest in Sean Payton, right? I'm going to keep the hope alive. Even if it's one person, standing in the line alone, I'll be that one person that says, I still want Sean Payton, right? So we'll see. We're supposed to keep your hopes up. Yeah, I'm going to. Let's see here. Walmart. Okay. So yeah, we got some people talking in the chat. Definitely continue to chat it up here in the chat below, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I know that there's some people that do have conversations within the keep it up. Keep it up. Let's see what Rafa said. Rafa says the only thing that this means is that we are not all in on Payton. I don't think we are out, but it's not Payton or bust for Michael Bidwell. That's fair. No, that's fair. Honestly, that's a good take there, Rafa. Honestly, I think you're right. I think you're 100% right. And I think that the Arizona Cardinals are not trying to settle for anything less than what they expect that they deserve, right? And I think that this is one of those head coaching candidate searches that we haven't seen at all, right? Especially when you're looking at, Steve Wilkes and the Cliff Kingsbury, right? The most recent head coaches of the Arizona Cardinals, the way that those played out, by the time we were either mid-January or beginning January, we already signed our head coaches, right? It seemed a little rushed. So I think the Cardinals are doing everything in their power to do the absolute due diligence they possibly can to bring the right guy in here. I truly do think that. Now, I agree with your take. I don't think we're out. And for the people that feel like they're out, I don't think we're out until Sean Payton either says, hey, I'm going back to Fox, or I'm signing with the Broncos, right? Until the moment we hear that, or we hear from Ian Rappaport or Tom Pelissero or anybody of those big, high, respectable NFL insiders, unless we hear that, I still am leaning to the hope that Sean Payton can still be a real possibility for the Arizona Cardinals. Now, Brian Callahan, Lou Anarumo, interesting, right? To me, they are, right? To me, they are. And here's the reason why, right? Now, I know there's going to be some people out there that are going to try to debunk, right? They're going to debunk my tweet here, and that's fine, right? Opinions are opinions. But being that the Arizona Cardinals went out and reached out to the Cincinnati Bengals for two of their assistants, one of them being their offensive coordinator and then their defensive coordinator as well, like that's huge, right? Like being that they helped change the culture in Cincinnati and have back-to-back playoff appearances is huge. It is, right? Now, is that Burrow just being Burrow? Maybe, right? Maybe Burrow is just that great, right? Maybe, and people are just riding the coattails of Burrow, probably, right? We don't truly know until they're actually put into a position. But being that they were a part of that winning culture, because let's be honest here, the Cincinnati Bengals weren't considered a team that were, constantly in the playoffs, right? But the moment you get Burrow, the moment you get, their new head coach in there, well, not new, but Zach Taylor, the moment you have them, right? Like you kind of start seeing a shift in, the culture and what they actually bring over there. And since they both were, with the Bengals since 2019, their success hopefully bleeds into other, organizations that need success, right? So I'm intrigued, right? I'm intrigued with either Lou Anarumo or Brian Callahan. I'm intrigued. Let's see here. Somebody says, I love Burrow. Yeah, Burrow's good, man. Honestly, Joe Burrow is a very, 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 very good quarterback. He is. And honestly, he's one of those quarterbacks that's, yeah, I'm not going to talk very much about it. He's a good quarterback. He really is. Let's see here. I have optimism for our GM making the right pick. He is not Keim. I agree, right? And that's the thing. Like, for the most part, we have some Cardinal fans saying, well, the Cardinals don't get good draft picks. They don't get good draft picks. If you guys think about it, the Cardinals we were held hostage to Steve Keim's best player available. Like, truly. The Arizona Cardinals were held hostage to the best player available for what Steve Keim thought in his eyes were the best player available, right? So, like, if you truly think about it, let Monty Osenfort cook, right? Let him see, like, let us take a step back and see who we can bring in. Because if he can somehow get a Will Anderson or a Jalen Carter, oh my God, you know how exciting that would be, right? Now, granted, if DeAndre Hopkins moves off and he does end up getting traded away, that's not on Monty Osenfort. That's going to be because DeAndre Hopkins wanted to get traded. He's got a no trade clause, so that wouldn't be a move that the Arizona Cardinals would want to do, but a move that DeAndre Hopkins would want to move off of, right? So just FYI for all 150 plus in you here right now, if DeAndre Hopkins does get moved off, this is not on Monty Osenfort. It's because he truly wanted to be moved off of already, and he doesn't think that the Arizona Cardinals are going to be contending next year. So please keep that in mind. So I'm excited, right? I am too. I have hopes and prayers that this guy can turn it around, right? Monty Osenfort. And so far, with what we were told they were going to do as a Cardinals organization, they're doing it. So you can't knock them for trying to do what they said that they're going to go out there and do. So as of right now, I am impressed with this offseason so far. Do I want to get the answer now? Of course I do, right? Of course I do. I think Arizona Cardinal fans right now, we're in a situation that we want better, right? We want better. We don't want to be the little brothers of the NFC West anymore. We don't. And I don't think Michael Bidwell wants to either. And that's the reason why he went ahead and ripped it off like a Band-Aid. And we're making the appropriate moves. And I think that's actually huge. Keim drafted Hassan Reddick. Yes, we're fully aware of that. We don't need to get punched in the stomach and try to relive the Hassan Reddick, try to keep him in the inside when he was an edge rush or an outside linebacker, in college, and we try to move him in the end. We know we don't want to relive it. We understand he's a great player. We understand he's in the Eagles right now and he's going to the Super Bowl. We don't want to relive it. Got somebody says we are in need of a quarterback. I mean, some people might say so, right? I know we got about 30% of the fan base thinks that we are in need of a quarterback. I'm going to support what Monty Osenfort and the Cardinals do. That's all I got to say. I'm going to support what Monty Osenfort and the Arizona Cardinals are going to do. That's what it is. It's long before, it was long overdue that Keim needed to go. It's just, it took for some people to see 10 years worth of work from Keim and what he's done, right? Because people like to lean on the big news that Keim has done, right? Your JJ Watt, your Zach Ertz, your DeAndre Hopkins. That's what people like to lean on. But that's the thing. Like, you also need to build the other 51 people in the roster, right? Like, you still need to build out a roster regardless of how the way it's going to shake out. You need to build it. And that's something that Keim couldn't do. He ignored the offensive line for years. He hasn't gotten a first round offensive lineman since 2015, and that was DJ Humphries. So, there's a lot to kind of unfold, right? There's a kind of a lot to unfold with the situation that we're living in right now, where Keim needed to go. It was obvious. Somebody says get Brock. No, I'm not. I'm not going to buy into the Brock Purdy thing. Brock Purdy is probably going to stay with the 49ers. I'm not going to move off of what I'm on board for the Arizona Cardinals to possibly get a veteran quarterback or maybe even draft a quarterback, but to go in and try to get a Brock Purdy, I'm not. Let's get our own Brock Purdy, right? Let's do it ourselves. Like, I know that there's so much people that wanted to see the 49ers win. Now, I didn't, right? I personally didn't want to see the 49ers win. I thought they were going to win because of their defense, but like, I didn't want the 49ers to win just because they're within our division. But like, Brock Purdy, he's it's hard to say because we haven't seen him with another coach, but like, kudos to what he's done so far, right? But I look at Brock Purdy and I see Nick Foles, right? I see Brock Purdy and I see Nick Foles. I see a guy that's very, very, very heavily on, I need to have the right system around me and have the weapons around me as well. And I don't want to go into a season thinking a Brock Purdy is going to be able to fix this, right? Although we just need a bridge quarterback, I'm not going to be giving up draft picks for Brock Purdy. So, or at least that's kind of the way I look at it. Let's see here. What's up, John? He says, Riddick is still a good linebacker, not great. A high school player can get 10 sacks with that defense. I mean, honestly, the Eagles defense is a lot better than than I sold them to believe. Yeah, that Eagles defense is no joke. Now, it didn't help that Brock Purdy was out, like in the first quarter when he got injured. It didn't help that either as well. But I truly think that the Eagles would have still won. It might have not been a blowout as much as it was, but I think the Eagles probably still would have won because, man, that team looks like they're on all cylinders go. They look darn good. They truly, truly do. So, what are your guys' thoughts on Lou Anarumo or Brian Callahan? What are your guys' thoughts on that? Or are you in the boat of, hey, I'm still keeping the Sean Payton dream alive and I'm not even trying to think of these two guys? Like, what are your guys' thoughts on that? We did dive into who they are, where they came from, what my thoughts are on these two individuals that the Arizona Cardinals have requested to interview. Now, don't jump off a bridge yet, right? Don't panic yet. I think the Cardinals are trying to do their due diligence. I still do think that there is mutual interest between the Cardinals and the Cardinals and Sean Payton. I think there is mutual interest. It's just there's that one thing that's a huge thing that's just leaning over our heads, and unfortunately, that's the Saints, right? And I think it's because of the draft compensation and what they want to get for a Sean Payton. So, we got some people in the chat here. Says Anarumo all day if we can't get Payton. Yeah, honestly, I think Lou Anarumo, at least for me, I think it's a little bit more of the intrigue as opposed to Brian Callahan. Now, I wouldn't be mad if he, came in as well. But I think Lou Anarumo, especially because we got some people really speaking highly of him, right? Now, not just Louis Riddick over here, right? He's spoken very highly of Lou Anarumo, but also, if you truly think about it, like, it seemed like a guy that has gone through the NFL where at least, 8 years, right? 8 years? Because he started back in 2012 in the Miami Dolphins. So 2012 to 2017, he was the Miami Dolphins. And then in 2018, he went to the Giants. And then from that, 2019 to the Cincinnati Bengals. So maybe just a guy that was, just waiting for his opportunity is kind of what it seems like to me. So I think it's intriguing. Especially if we don't get a Sean Payton. I agree. We got somebody in the chat says, I hate the Eagles, but they're in the Super Bowl for a reason. Purdy's healthy would have made zero difference. Yeah, and I kind of feel the same way too. Man, that Eagles is playing on all cylinders go, right? Like, they are playing crazy good right now. And it's going to be an intriguing matchup, right? It is. It's going to be the Chiefs. Are they going to get another Super Bowl under the, Mahomes era, or is Jalen Hurts going to go out and get a Super Bowl? Because they were just in the Super Bowl, 3 or 4 years ago as well. So we're seeing the best team in the NFC and the best team in the AFC get together and hopefully have a very good Super Bowl. And I think that's kind of what we're hoping for as fans, to see a great, great game. Hopefully, right? Fingers crossed. So let's see here. We got somebody say, "How about them?" I didn't expect the Niners to get blown out as bad as they got blown out. I did not expect that. I'm not gonna lie to you. I did not expect the Niners to get blown out as bad as they did. So, um, I know that they're going to use the Purdy, right? Him being hurt as an excuse, but I think in the grand scheme of things, man, that Eagles team is playing with all the confidence in the world. And yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts. Now, here's my take real quick. I know we have about 15 minutes left. I want to say this here as well. Like, now that the Arizona Cardinals are truly bringing in other people, right? Like a Lou Anarumo as well as Brian Callahan. Are you guys maybe interested in possibly having the Arizona Cardinals bring Shane Steichen in, right? Because if you think about it, like, I thought that Sean Payton was like, okay, we're putting our eggs in a basket, which if you think about, Arizona sports with the whole KD to AZ, right? Kevin Durant, that whole thing didn't work out, and it really hindered the Phoenix Suns for doing anything in free agency. So, like, I'm glad that the Arizona Cardinals are doing their due diligence, but like, maybe Shane Steichen can be a real possibility for us to bring him back in, right? Maybe we can start bringing in and looking into other people. Now, granted, we can't hire him until like later on, but like, maybe bring him in, right? Maybe hear what he has to say. I get that the Panthers, right? It didn't work out with the Panthers very well. And I think the interview didn't go so hot. There was rumors out there saying that he blew it. But I mean, it's just probably personality thing. They probably just didn't like each other. Who knows, right? But Shane Steichen, I think, can really be somebody that can kind of bring in that juice, right? Bringing that offensive mind, bringing that Philly mentality, which if you don't like Philly or you do like Philly, they got it going over there. Like, they look really, really interesting. So we'll see. But I think the Arizona Cardinals should possibly, right? If we're still going to continue to flip these stones, right? Still going to throw that wide net out there, I think the Arizona Cardinals should. Why not? Like, why not, try to bring in Shane Steichen and see what he has to say, right? Now, we don't have to go out there and say, oh, we're going to get you, right? It's going to be something that, has to be done. No, not necessarily at all. But I think the Arizona Cardinals have an opportunity here to kind of reset, right? Reset. Because although Jonathan Gannon is still a possibility, which is the defensive coordinator for the Eagles, Ajiro Aviro, I don't know if that's real. Aaron Glenn, I'm not sure if that's real. Brian Flores, people still want to lean hope on that. VJ, I don't think the Vance Joseph thing is that big, honestly. I don't think it's I'm not worried about Vance Joseph being the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. I truly am not. And if he is, oh my goodness, I don't know what I'm going to do. But yeah, why not, right? Why not bring Shane Steichen and let's see what he says. Let's see here. We got somebody say, I hate Philly. Saints are stubborn. No, yeah, no, that's true. Let's see here. Plus picks fall in the years. Let's take a look here. 2 first rounds of pick. Yeah, I agree. No, yeah, we talked about it yesterday. Yeah, the 2 first round picks, the idea of that is wild, right? Like, the idea of 2 first round picks for a coach is absolutely wild. But if you think about it, like the Saints have the leverage. The Saints have all the leverage here at this very moment. And yes, the Arizona Cardinals look to have a very, very good interview with Sean Payton, being that he was there for 7+ hours and that Sean Payton and Michael Bidwell drove away in the same car with each other, right? It looks good, right? It looks good on paper. And I think for the most part, everybody on the outside could say the same thing, that the interview went very well. But I mean, we still have 2 options or 3 options for Sean Payton, right? Either he's going to be the Arizona Cardinals head coach, the Broncos head coach, or he might find his way back in Fox. And honestly, that might be something where next year there might be some other opportunities, right? Maybe some other opportunities that can arise for Sean Payton, because there's rumors out there that the Cowboys or the Chargers or some other spots might open up, which will hurt. Honestly, it will hurt as a Cardinal fan, because you don't get very many coaches like this, right, that have proven their worth that come around very often like this. You don't get it. And let me re-emphasize this and saying this. You don't get very much coaches like this that has proven their worth and know that he's a winning coach that come around very often. So it will hurt if he doesn't come to the Arizona Cardinals, but we might be able to kind of get another Bruce Arians, right? We might, fingers crossed. That's what we're all kind of hoping for, to kind of get another coach in here that's going to be able to change the culture of this franchise, because we sure need it. We sure need it. So those are the latest updates that we have here for the Arizona Cardinals. Appreciate everybody for tuning in, by the way. Just FYI, another quick plug. This video is sponsored by Underdog Fantasy, ladies and gentlemen. If you use this promo code AZSF, they will be matching your deposit up to $100. If you put in $10, they'll give you $10. You put 20, they'll give you 20. You put 100, they'll give you 100. So anything over 100, they won't match it. They'll just give you up to $100 to match your deposit. Right now, if you use AZSF as the promo code for Underdog Fantasy, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I actually played this over the weekend. They have this game called Pick'ems, where you go ahead and choose either higher or lower. So like, let's say, for example, Mahomes is going to throw 3 touchdowns. Do you think it's going to be lower or higher? You pick either or, and you have about 3 or different options, 5 different options, and you have the ability to actually 20 times your money by dropping $5, $25, $20, something like that. And it does bring a level of excitement as well, because obviously money's involved. So it's actually pretty exciting. So definitely download Underdog Fantasy as an app by using promo code AZSF. And like I said, the deposit really helps out because they'll match you up to $100. It's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. Let's keep it with the chat here. Let's see what you guys are saying. We do have some people in the chat saying the Flores would be a good hire. I mean, we'll see, right? We don't really 100% know. I know that Flores definitely changed he's changed the culture in Miami, right? Now, I don't think he was really able to get to the playoffs when he was the coach, right? And that's a big thing, because we need to get to the playoffs. These days or these years of just dancing around and not getting to the playoffs, I'm done. I'm over it. I'm over it. I want the Cardinals to get into a moment where we're playoff contending team. That's what we want to be. That's who I hope that we are going to be, right? We'll see, though. What's up, Tigo? Appreciate the $5 contribution. He says, Adam Schefter says the Cardinals don't think they get Sean Payton. Oh, is that new? Is that new? Let me take a look here real quick. Is this breaking news you're dropping on me, Tigo? Let's see here. I'm not seeing anything. I don't see anything about Adam Schefter saying that. But I appreciate the contribution. I didn't see anything about that, or I would have jumped on that video in a heartbeat. Appreciate you, Tigo. Thank you so much for the super chat. Definitely, I'm curious to figure out where you saw that, because I'm on Adam Schefter's right on Twitter page, and I'm not seeing that anywhere. Here we go. BBH with the 20 bomb. What's up, brother? Appreciate the contribution, my dude. He says, upset Dan Quinn is staying with the Cowboys, but now I'm thinking either Sean Payton or an offensive coordinator from the Bengals. He shows potential and adjusting mid-game. Joe sacked 4 times first half to only 1. Yes. Oh, yes. Dude, 100%. 100%. And this isn't the first time this has happened. Joe Burrow is a very, very intelligent quarterback as well. But yes, we do got to also give credit to Brian Callahan and changing it up to making sure that this man is able to compete in the highest level, because it's so crazy to me to hear that the Cardinals, or at least coaches, somehow get in their own head, right? Like, they're not putting their full effort into the situation that we're living in, but adjusting is number one key. You have to do it. If your game plan isn't working, you need to have plan B. If plan B isn't working, plan C. Right? Like, we need to be able to do these things in game. And that's one thing that a lot of coaches fall victim of, right? Like, they're so bent on, this is my game plan. This is going to work. This is what I feel like is going to happen. But one of the smartest, best things, and one of the hardest things to do is game plan changing, adjusting, right? In game, adjusting in game is pretty hard, because obviously not every coach does it, right? Now, Kyle Shanahan is getting a lot of flack right now. But honestly, they had their backs against the wall in that game. Brock Purdy going down, and Brock Purdy's their third string quarterback for Pete's sake, right? The story was great, right? The Cinderella story was great, but you run into a team like the Eagles, you're going to get worked. You're going to get worked. And honestly, I think that the 49ers were riding the high of, man, Brock Purdy can take us all the way. And he took them as far as he can take them, which is very far still, right? The NFC Conference Championship, which is still very good. But I agree. This is definitely a quality that I would love, right? Being able to adjust in game as well as being just a leader of men, right? I know in the beginning of the search, I was very, very bent on, I want offensive mind. I was so bent on that. But as long as we get somebody that has leadership skills, that's able to talk to Kyler, that's able to I don't know, get us to a culture changing way, I think that's a little bit more important than just being focused on bringing in an offensive mind, because we could still bring in an offensive coordinator, right? Regardless if we bring in an offensive-minded head coach or a defensive-minded head coach, it's very important, at least to Cardinal fans, including myself, that we bring in an offensive coach. That we bring in an offensive coordinator and bring in a defensive coordinator as well, because I'm not going to be living in those days that the coach is going to want to do everything. No. We already have PTSD from Cliff. No, we don't want to do that. So, Brian Callahan, intriguing. This seems like the Cardinals wanted to request an interview, so that's pretty cool, as well as Lou Anarumo as well. So we'll see, right? We'll see what happens there. Now, Sean Payton also did mention over the weekend that he noticed this year has been very different with the head coaching search, right? It seems like the Arizona Cardinals, among other teams, right, like your Texans, your Colts, your Broncos, they're not in a hurry to hire the big name, right? They're not in the hurry, right? And that's kind of the shift that we're seeing in this offseason, because the only team that really hired their head coach was the Panthers, and that's Frank Reich. That's it. You still have 4 teams with vacant head coaching positions, but nobody's in a rush. Nobody's in a rush to get their next head coach. And that's something different than Sean Payton even said on Fox that he's noticed that these different clubs are doing, right? They want to make sure that they get the right person in. They want to make sure that, everybody's being brought in and also using the rosters that we have. And they want to hear the plans, right? Not plans just for this year, but plans for the future. So it's cool. It's cool to see the adjustment, because I was worried. I was worried about either the Panthers or the Broncos sniping Sean Payton away from the Arizona Cardinals, although I still feel like the dream is still alive. I still think that the dream is still alive. It brings us to a reality that the Cardinals are doing their due diligence, and you can't really knock them for that. You can't knock them for that. Let's see here. I want to know if Tigo ever said anything. I don't see Tigo said anything else besides that, because I'm not seeing anything from Adam Schefter here. I do see Matt. He says, Fan Nation says the Cardinals believe they won't land Sean Payton. Gotcha. Okay, I mean, that's the thing though, like, right? I mean, there's so many people, right? Like, there's so much people putting their hand in this cookie jar right now with the Sean Payton sweepstakes. So many people. And I want to make sure that everybody's fully aware that, like, there's 2 answers, right? We're either going to get Sean Payton or we're not going to get Sean Payton, right? Those are the 2 answers that we have right now. Those 2. Right? And if you're leaning towards the history of what the Arizona Cardinals have done in the years, most likely we're not going to land them, right? Because it's not something that the Cardinals do, right? As far as past history, right? We don't go for those big splash moves like that, right? Because of however you want to say it, right? Cap, money, I don't know. I don't care. Or we do get them, right? Like, those are the 2 options. So we have so many personalities. We have so many podcasters. We have so many, everybody putting their hand in the cookie jar, because if you truly think about it, there's only 2 answers here. He's either coming or he's not coming. That's it. The people that are saying he's going to come, which I'm just putting my hand in the cookie jar because I truly want Sean Payton here, right? As a fan, I truly think that he's going to be able to change the culture of this Arizona Cardinal team, right? This culture of the Cardinal team, this organization. That's why I'm leaning hope to it, right? Like, I don't have no inside information. I don't. It's just, that's what I want to believe, right? But I could be disappointed, right? Because we're Cardinal fans. We're constantly always disappointed. Or you could be on the boat of saying it's not going to happen. Either or, there's going to be somebody right. There's going to be somebody right and there's going to be somebody wrong. So, I mean, you're going to have people saying yes, you're going to have people saying no. I mean, however you want to believe it, it is, we'll see, right? TBD. TBD. Let's continue with the contributions. What's up, BBH? Another $5 bomb. What's up, brother? Appreciate the contribution. He says, I don't blame them for waiting at the NFL now to 5 years ago. So many teams are stacked and no one knows who really are favorites to win the Super Bowl. Exactly. Exactly. And here's the thing, too. Like, even when you're thinking about it, like when you're watching those ESPN shows, when you're watching the NFL Network shows, like everything is prediction, right? And that's the thing. Like, people are, I played in the NFL, right? My prediction is better than, this person, right? That person. Like, everything is based off of prediction. That's it. That's what we're watching. Prediction. Whoever you want to, believe their prediction, then hey, if they're right, they're right, right? They look like geniuses. If they're not right, then they're not right. It's what it is. But yeah, I agree. We got to do our due diligence. Because I think in the grand scheme of things here, the Arizona Cardinals have a perfect opportunity here. A perfect opportunity. And I've said this on a few other streams before as well. The fact that this is the year that I believe that Michael Bidwell is finally making a decision solely on himself, right? Obviously, now Monty Osenfort has now helping him out. But this is the first year that we don't have Steve Keim in his ear. This is the first time that we have Steve Keim not in his ear. Tigo, I got him. Okay, appreciate you, Tigo. Thanks. I'll look into it, man. Thank you. Yeah, so this is the first time, that we don't see Michael Bidwell having Steve Keim in his ear. So this is cool. This is exciting, right? I'm excited about seeing what Michael Bidwell could do because Michael Bidwell wants to win, right? I know he gets a lot of bad rap, and I was one of those people that kind of give him a bad rap too because of the Bidwell last name, but I think he truly wants to win. He just was in a crappy situation because one of his friends, and that's the reason why you don't mix business and pleasure, ladies, or business and friendship, right? You don't mix business and friendship with each other because, like, we were stuck with Steve Keim for 10 years when everybody knew we should have gotten rid of him. Like, we should have gotten rid of Keim. Like, he shouldn't have lasted 10 years. Like, it was crazy. But because it was his buddy, he wasn't going to move off of him. And I think that's the situation we find ourselves in now that I'm proud of Michael Bidwell. I truly am. I think definitely kudos to where kudos is due. He definitely deserves kudos from me for sure. Because somebody said bring back Bruce. I don't think Bruce wants to come back. Not so much to the Cardinals, but just coaching in general. I don't know. He even gave up his head coaching role as a Tampa to have Todd Bowles take over. And I don't think Todd Bowles did really great, honestly. But y'all, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. We have made it to the hour mark. Guys, one more time, Underdog Fantasy. Download the app today. Use promo code AZSF for an opportunity to 20 times your money. They will match your money up to $100. Just FYI, put $5, they'll give you $5. $10, they'll give you $10. Anything up to $100 by using Underdog Fantasy today. That is what is sponsoring this video here today, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Once we hear more information, if there is any more information, either, kind of coming out of the nowhere, we will be going ahead and let you guys know all the juicy details pertaining to how we feel about it, right? How we feel about these new candidates coming in here as an Arizona Cardinal possibility, new head coach, new this, new that. So guys, thank you so very much for rocking with me. If you guys haven't already, smack the like button. Definitely do that favor for me right now. Smack the like button and subscribe. We're on the road to 12K, ladies and gentlemen. Can't do it without you guys. What's up, BBH? Appreciate the contribution. I'm pretty sure the last one of the day. He says this question: can we give up 2024 and 2025 first rounds instead of this year for Sean? Yeah, we can. Technically, we can. We technically can. Yeah, 2024 and 2025, we can. Now, is the Cardinals willing to do it? I mean, that's a different story. Do I want to do it? I don't know, right? Here's what I'm a little worried about. Although I truly believe that Kyler Murray will come back to an MVP level, right? I do think that he can. It's just there's so much unknown surrounding Kyler Murray right now. So much unknown that those first round picks can be very, very useful for a possible quarterback switch in the future, right? Although I believe in him, I don't know if I want to give up 2024 and 2025, but yes, technically we can give them up. We technically can. But But if Kyler works out, right, with Sean Payton, and that's exactly what happens, then hey, you know, it's a dream made in heaven, and we'll see exactly what happens there. But as of right now, that is kind of where we're at. Appreciate you guys for rocking with me. BBH, Tigo, thank you so very much for the contributions. Michael earlier as well. Again, thanks so much for the contributions. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Smack the like button, subscribe if you like this Arizona Cardinals content. Thanks everybody for tuning in. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to everybody. Have a great rest of your day, and as always, go Cards.